Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this day in history, our nightly look back at a particular day in history and the events of that day and why they're significant. As always, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification icon to be alerted anytime we post new content. And tell a friend, get the message out here about the channel. Uh, we're going to have an impeachment video later covering the events of this week and the arguments made. I'm probably going to do that tomorrow since it's going to be a short day on impeachment tomorrow, and I can more fully encapsulate what has happened this week in that area. So be looking out for that sometime tomorrow. So, without any further ado, this day in history, January the 24th. And on this day, in 1984, Apple Computer released the original Macintosh computer. This was 2 days after the Super Bowl ad aired announcing the release of this, and this was the first personal PC, personal computer, sold without a programming language, and it was a total game changer. It was really easy and accessible for the common person to use. It sold for an original introduction price of $2,495, $6,100 in 2019 if you adjust it for inflation. So even back then, Apple sold a pricey product. That has not changed. If you've watched this before and watched me talk about Apple, I am a total Apple mark. I believe Apple makes a superior product to anything else out there. Have a iPhone, had the iPhone 4, had the iPhone 7 before this. I had the 5S and the 4, as I mentioned, the 4, and this is the 10S. Eventually, sometime this year, when my contract on this one is up, I'll get the iPhone 11 S, because that will be the model out then. I will get the one with the 11 Pro, the three camera model. I will get the newest version at the time. I have decided that I'm at that point when I upgrade with Apple from now on, and Verizon, I'm going to get the newest and best phone with the most memory. This right here is so easy to use. I see people with Androids all the time, and I'm like, what are you doing? I've tried to operate them. They're so frustrating. So Apple introduced the Macintosh on this day. As I said, it's a total game changer. And really one of those first products that made it easy for people to use computers, and even the reviewers at the time, the tech writers, and there was not a lot of them at that time, not like there is now. They talked about how big of a game changer this was. They saw the potential. Steve Jobs was a visionary. Now, granted, it had some horrible design flaws, but overall, game changer. Total game changer. And, of course, as we all know, Apple sells a pricey product, and even at that time, they knew they could charge top dollar for their product. Some births that occurred on this day. In 1927, in Salt Lake City, a future United States Senator from the state of Florida from 1981 to 1987 was born, and she was a member of the Republican Party. And her name was Paula Hawkins. Now, Miss Hawkins is a barrier breaker. She was the first female ever elected to the Senate without having a close family member in elected office prior. She was the first female senator to bring her husband to Washington, and he became a member of the Senate Wives Club, so it had to rename itself the Senate Spouses Club afterwards. So you have to look at Miss Hawkins. She only served for one term from and lost to the opponent she faced in her first election. But you have to look at her and say how groundbreaking she was. There have been scores of women elected to the United States Senate since who have not had a husband in elected office prior, who have their own career, and Paula Hawkins was the first one. I think, though, it is telling how far we have come as a society that it took to 1981 to achieve that. So, who knows? We have the potential of having the first female president next year. And it will be also the first time that we have a female presidential nominee without a husband who was also president before her. So, we have that potential as well. I had to get that one in there. I'm sorry. Had to get that one in there. Bad Jake. Bad Jake. Continuing on the subject of Florida, and I'm not making light of it at all. Some deaths that occurred on this day. In 1989, at the age of 42, the state of Florida executed Ted Bundy in the electric chair. Ted Bundy, this is by his own defense team, was the face of pure evil. He had 30 confessed victims, but the absolute number is unknown. His active spree that we know about was from 74 to 78. He escaped prison in Colorado twice. And that's how he ended up in Florida. He was on trial in Colorado, escaped, made it all the way to Chicago, made it to Atlanta, and then entered Florida and continued his spree. There's been a lot of written about Bundy. There's been countless documentaries, movies made. He is just the face of pure evil. I'm against the death penalty. I don't believe it's effective. And I just have real ethical questions about it. But if there was ever a poster child for people that support the death penalty, Ted Bundy would be that victim. So, yeah, Ted Bundy, 42, executed on this day in 1989 by the state of Florida for the murders that he committed in that state. So, that's all for today. As I said, hit the subscribe button, the bell notification icon. Tell a friend. Please tell a friend Uh, and spread the word. We're going to have, of course, I said the impeachment video tomorrow at some point. I may do a video sometime next week on where I think the race for president is going. Now, next weekend at some point, I've got to put out my prediction video on Iowa. So we're getting really, really close. And I can't wait to get this. I mean, the campaign's already underway, but underway for real. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I'll see y'all all again real soon. Thank you.